When I was a casual, I thought as a casual, I spoke like a casual, and I looked at boxing like a casual. But when I became a hardcore, I put away all those casual things. This is Michael Rogers, and welcome to Bodywork Boxing.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. This weekend, Brandun Lee earned his associate's degree from Adversity University. Man, Brandun Lee is one of the up-and-coming 140 pounders. You know, I have links to him and Gary Antoine Russell and Regis. Now Teofimo just dipped his foot in the water. You got Jose Zepeda. We don't know what Josh Taylor's doing just yet. I know we got Jack Catterall looking to cut. He's chomping at the bit. We got Richardson Hitchens, which, you know, he's my guy that's like really flying under the radar at 140. We got, you know, a lot of things going on at 140. And so I have been checking for Brandun Lee, because we know, you know, Undisputed, you know, the rematch is coming up at 135. We know that Devin has, you know, been talking about going to 140. You know, some of his fans are actually encouraging him to go to 140. And so I always like to survey the landscape, because even though I have my favorite boxers, you know what I'm saying, some I like more than others, I try to know them all as much as I can. I'm not going to make anything like Brandun Lee's opponent, Will Madera. I didn't know much about Will Madera, but he gained a lot of respect. First of all, you know, when they said Will Madera is 52% body, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, that might be my cousin. You know what I'm saying? Because we all about that body work. But anyways, judging the fight, my biggest question was the 98-91. And Brandun Lee, keep in mind, Brandun Lee was 25-0 with 22 knockouts. Not sure what Will Madera was. I knew at some point. But he was a 135-pounder moving up. And in the first round, I said Brandun Lee had some good combination work. He got caught a couple times, and I was saying you got to keep his right up. He got to keep his right hand up. I think Madera in the first round, he had good level changes. He had good work. And he had good movement. You know, he looked kind of polished, you know, and I was getting to know him through what the commentators was actually telling us about him. My focus was to learn more about Brandun Lee. But I'm a new fan of Will Madera, man. Much respect to that dude, man. That man can box. In the second round, Brandun Lee busted up Madera with a left uppercut. And it was one of them ones where they thought it was a headbutt, but it was it was a shot. It was one shot that went upside his head and busted his face open. And I think that Brandun Lee's offense can get him out of trouble for the deficiencies that he has on defense. At first glance, we know he got power. You know, sometimes it can be one punch knockout power. You know, I don't know if it's like T.O. or Tank or Wilder kind of power, you know, but he has power. And if he catch you clean, you're going to be in trouble. I just think that I started seeing some things because in round 3, he went down to a right hook. And when it was a counter. And I saw pretty fast that Madera was very patient. I think that the arm reach deficit and him moving up from 135 didn't serve him justice in this fight. But I think a couple more fights up there at 140 and, you know, a couple different opponents, you know, I think Madera can actually do some things. In round 4, Brandun Lee, he wasn't the only one to face adversity. In round 4, his father didn't even know what round it was. Man, you only get 10 of them things at this point. You know, you gotta be accountable. Like, somebody gotta know that. I mean, that's almost like losing score. That's almost like you don't know what quarter it is. That's a big difference. I mean, so his father faced some adversity. We actually got to peek behind that veil. So a lot of things that we be assuming about some of these boxers and some of these camps and how great or good or whatever, we don't get a chance until we actually get to see them fight. That's why it's very important for these boxers to actually stay active and to try to make as many fights as possible. Moving right back to the fight in the 5th, he got off his combinations. I think in the 5th, Madera, he had good head movement, and he started really cranking up his body work. I started really seeing how effective he was to his body. In the 6th round, he started like working through adversity because he still had cobwebs for a round or two. And I think that again, that reach deficit that Madera had didn't allow him to capitalize and get as close to Brandun Lee as he could. And I think the eye, was actually it was actually affecting him pretty bad. But in the 7th round, I think Brandun Lee got more active, and Madera had some success. And what I didn't like about the commentary was that was a round where Madera had a lot of success, and they only showed with Brandun Lee his highlights. So up until this point, coming out of the round 7, I had it 4-2, Brandun Lee. I had Madera winning the 3rd and the 4th, and Brandun Lee winning the 1st, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 7th. In the 8th round, Brandun Lee got caught twice. He had good work, but you could tell that eye, man, it just started, pouring into, that blood started pouring into his eye, and he really couldn't see. In the 9th, Brandun Lee, he worked. But I don't know. I think that in the 9th round, he was kind of coasting a little bit, and Madera, I think at that point, he was kind of like, I think he almost kind of knew he wasn't gonna win, or he was gonna have to get, he was gonna have to land a significant shot. And I don't think with him being able to see fully that he was gonna commit fully, thinking that he might miss and get devastated, because Brandun Lee does have devastating punching power. And in the 10th, I had Brandun Lee with a strong finish. Look, at the end of the day, all these fighters are going to actually face some kind of adversity. I think that Brandun Lee actually learned. You could tell by what he said in the post-fight interview. He wasn't cocky at all. Very, very, very down to earth. Even the way he talks, his persona. And he didn't make a big deal out of it. Like, yeah, I got caught. Obviously, I got more to learn. That's what you like to hear from these young boxers. Now, everybody's walking on water and the greatest and all these absolutes. But Brandun Lee got the demeanor. I think he's young enough, he's strong enough, and he has the potential to actually become, one of the stars in boxing. Right now, he's a highly touted prospect. I think that, conversations with him and some of the people like Regis or Gary Antoine, not quite yet. Not quite yet, because it's some people up there that can actually thump. And so now we know that Brandun Lee is very offensive. Now we need to see him with somebody that can crack and that's more aggressive, because I think Brandun Lee's biggest weakness is fighting off the back foot. I think he's a rhythm fighter. He has to have his rhythm. You get to letting him, bounce around and, get his rhythm, but if you keep him on the back foot, and if you can make him miss, he can't be countered. And he got to keep his hands up. Because some of them counters, man, I know. See, that's the difference between, good fighters and great fighters. You make a mistake like that against somebody like Tank, it's good night. You're not getting back up. And the way Brandun Lee fell, he fell down on the shoulder. He couldn't even put his hands down to catch it. He got caught by surprise. So you can't counter him. That's the difference in punching power. You dealing with somebody like a Gary Antoine that'll do that. That'll hit you like that. Probably even the Josh Taylor, probably. If he got you clean flush like that. We know Jack Catterall, but the difference in the good and the great and the punching power, we will actually see, and we're actually starting to see the cream rise to the crop, and we really starting to see who's who. Because a lot of people run around talking and saying, oh no, this and this and this. The great ones figure it out and they end the show. They end it. Yeah, they want to entertain, they want to do this, but they straight up end the show at some point. And we know Brandun Lee can end the show, but as the level of competition steps up, we want to see more defense. You know, you got the associates. You know, you got your associates from Adversity University. Anyways, I enjoyed that fight. I enjoyed, you know, some of the other fights as well. I'll talk about those in other videos, but, you know, I'm checking for Brandun Lee. I want to see what the landscape is. I think that they're moving him right. You know, he does have notoriety, and I think that the pace and the level of competition, maybe like a Lipinets. Is he ready for somebody like a Lipinets after what we saw at 140? Is he ready for a Lipinets at 140? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Right now, that looks like a great matchup, but I'm not so sure just yet. I think he got a couple more fights to where he can really start seeing, you know, some of them title eliminator type fights, and, you know, he got to move up. He got to move up and do his thing. Anyway, it was a good fight. You know, I appreciate watching the young man. Definitely a treat to watch him whenever you can. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Holla at your boy here at BodyWorkBoxing, where we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
All right, I believe you, but my Tommy gun don't. Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
My word, I do what I do. He knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep running your mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if it gets down to the wire, we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay fucked solid up, man. You know what I'm saying? To the fans that know.
We did a job outside the ring. I'm a fighter, like I said before. Ain't no safety on the clock, so